everybody, welcome to a brand new episode of The Creators Outlet. And our special guest is Shane from Kid Toad Inc. King Toad Inc. I knew that name from another dude, too. He's been on the show and co-hosted with me, John Joe Ball. But we get Shane. That's cool.
You got me tonight.
That's all right. We got to get both halves going, you know?
Yeah. I'd like to do more shows where like both of us are on it. That'd be nice.
Yeah. I realized time got away from me because I had a doctor's appointment to get work done on my leg today. And so I meant to like DM him like either last night or this morning and be like, Shane's coming on tomorrow. You want to come on with him? If you have like a spare second. But
he's like a late night creature. Like
yeah,
late
I know.
Night. Now I work nights, so I'm used to that, but I'm usually, at work while he's up and streaming.
Oh yeah.
But
So
we wake up 3 o'clock in the morning, drawing or doing whatever John Ball does in the middle of the night.
Smoking like 2-3 packs.
Yes, he does. I didn't get him to stop. Like, you're going to die on me, Joe. Young. Stop smoking.
Nope. Nicotine preserves my soul. So, give us your background into where you are now in comics.
Where I'm into comics, the background. Well, being an 80s kid, I guess we'll start there. Where, grew up with the, I don't know, like the beginning of like the X-Men Jim Lee era, I would say.
Yep.
Going to the, what was that?
Late 80s,
early 90s?
90s, yeah.
Yeah, so that was kind of my era of comics, So I got to step into that realm of X-Men. I would say would be my first really experience with collecting comics. Grabbing my issue from Walmart here and there. So we didn't have a comic book store, so I didn't have like tons of comics. I just kind of grabbed what I could, and that was about it. X-Men and Spider-Man. Spider-Man was a big thing I could grab. What else? Punisher Warzone, I think, was a thing that was kind of really big during that period. That was, I think that was Jim Lee too, wasn't it? Yeah, Warzone, Punisher Warzone.
Some of the covers, at least, in probably a few issues.
Yeah,
he probably did the interiors because he wasn't the corporate mogul we know him as today.
Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of like where I started. Again, grew up 80s, 90s, so I was big influence with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Not so much the comics. I couldn't get a hold of the comics back then. I mean, I don't know how. Being in the 80s, so I was a tiny guy. So, Turtles. I don't know how that was in the comic book stores. Like, it was probably geared more towards the teenagers versus me who's watching like the 90s, 80s cartoon. I'm sure that the older guys are like, this is garbage compared to what it's supposed to be, but
Yeah, I was one of those guys.
See, I figure it's kind of how that goes. To me, being the 80s guy, I'd be like, man, Turtles was this way. I grew up with the smiley guys with the cowabunga, and I can only imagine if I was my age now, and then seeing what the comic was, being like, can't believe they turned into a kid's.
I was one of those guys that I was always in the comic shops. I worked for my buddy at his comic store, so I was always there, seeing what was up, coming by with coffee and, picking stuff up. And the week that hit the shelves, I'm like, what the hell is that? He goes, oh, that's a new indie book. It's really hot, called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That sounds friggin' stupid.
Yeah.
Give me my last 75 issues of Batman. And I passed on it, and then years later, I'm like, I really hate myself.
Yeah. Now, did you get any chance to read Last Ronin?
Yes.
Yeah.
I haven't. I get the first like 2 issues. They were like the 59th Prince or something.
Mm-hmm.
I want to just outright buy the hardcover.
Yeah, that's why I got the hardcover. I got the first 2 issues, and then I went and got the hardcover.
Yeah,
that's what I got.
I'll eventually buy the hardcover and read it all the way through. And now they're like, it did so well. Let's milk it like our name is Disney.
Yeah, I don't know. I know they're going to a game, and I think they did some like side issues now of Last Ronin.
Yeah, they started like another. It's still Last Ronin, but it's Last Ronin something else. I guess it's
Yeah.
like backstory and
Yeah, it was pretty good. I still think it had some flaws in it. I don't think it's like the perfect thing. I think the concept and the idea is cool. Some of the execution on like I think let's see, I can't remember Shredder's daughter, but her son is like the main antagonist in that. And I think the final showdown with him, without spoilers, was a little lackluster for me. I think. Do you know? I don't know if I say this. One of the turtles' deaths was pretty cool, but I felt like the others was kind of like it felt a little side noted. I don't know. So it was like hit and miss.
More suicide-y than actual death.
I wouldn't really say suicide, but like they went right out and showed one of the deaths like really cool, but the other two were like kind of almost like I felt like they were killed off screen, and I'm like, it's your comic book, like if you're gonna sit there and kill the turtles, at least show a little bit more. But I did like I did like April in it. I thought that was a cool take on her where she's like missing an arm and I think a leg. So she's kind of fucked up. And then her daughter, it's kind of cool that her daughter's there. Again, Casey was a victim of not being alive. So he was also killed kind of off screen. I was like, I don't know. I think they could take their time a little bit more with it. I think it could have been a few more issues or something. And Baxter Stockman was really cool in it. I know I'm kind of going on a turtle rant here, but again, that's where I said though, like when you asked me how I got into this, growing up, like I say, turtles and stuff like that was kind of my jam. Not so much collecting a bunch of comics, but it's still in the same realm of what we grew up on.
Fandom stuff.
Yeah.
Funny thing was that the same time that came out, or just following like that first issue, we got the Fish Police.
Fish Police, was that a show?
I think they made like a short run cartoon for it.
Yeah, it was really weird. I remember that coming out when I was a kid. Like it was like on like 7 o'clock at night. Yeah. I remember that.
Turtles spawned the cute little talking animal comics. So we had that, and then of course Don Shin came out with radioactive black belt hamsters.
I don't remember that one. That one.
That was the first time I heard his name was for that, and then
that's a mouthful.
He went right from that to just doing like parody stuff, like the compilation that he put out the other year that had like a whole bunch of like spoofs on Marvel characters. X-Force was actually done and put out in the 90s.
Yeah.
And I probably have a copy of it somewhere in all those boxes. I go, this is hilarious. I got to check this out.
That was kind of a big thing back in the Biker Mice from Mars.
Biker Mice from Mars, the cartoon, yeah.
Yeah, I know. I think they're in the talks of making live action of that now. But I'm sure that was kind of a influence from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They were trying to like capitalize on that.
Yeah, it was all the anamorphic animal craze.
Yeah. What was the Street Sharks? I'm surprised we haven't seen anything from that in a while.
Street Sharks too.
Those toys are still expensive, man. Do you ever come across those at conventions? They're not easy to get a hold of.
Because for a while I was taken to Facebook auctions and selling a bunch of my toys because I got way too much crap. But then Facebook decided it wanted to go to war with StreamYard, and you could only stream on Facebook if you were using your mobile device to stream. If you were using a computer like I use to do these, nope. 5 minutes in every stream, you'd get booted out and have to try to get back in. And
Oh,
it was just, I was just like, forget it, I'm done. So, who was your biggest influence to create your own stuff?
I wouldn't say like I really just had like an influence from somebody like. I mean, I say like I grew up with like the Kevin Eastmans and stuff like that. It's not like I really idolized anybody in particular as much just wanting to be an entrepreneur myself. You know, like me and John, man, we've been like trying this shit since high school. We know each other since high school. All right, so I guess like at that time, we idolized. I'd say like the Jim Lees and stuff. We'd go out of our way to go to the conventions to meet these guys. Alex Ross.
Yep.
Guys like that. Is always kind of like a awesome thing to meet them. Mike Turner, we got to meet him.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we've always just been driven just to kind of do our own thing. We always just wanted to create comics or create something. Because while John was like pursuing comics, I pursued a little bit more on the writing side of things and did some like indie, books and stuff like that. Like chapter books. Because I was like growing up, Goosebumps was huge when I was growing up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But I kind of took that route, did a couple of chapter books and stuff like that. So I'd say R.L. Stine was like a big influence for me as a writer kind of thing, more than like a comic book person. I was like trying to, be like or something. But yeah, like me and John, since high school, we always had like a plan to try to make it. And back then, it wasn't like today where like you can just, get on the internet and literally go to like sites and find artists, like you can now, or writers,
Yeah.
or not so much even that. Like I would say like even just getting your stuff out there, like we couldn't just do this back in the day and be like, hey, look, I got a book, and then whoever's watching can see it. And, back then you had to submit to either Image, Marvel, or DC. And you had to follow their guidelines. They have like the little scripts and stuff. Me and John would write it out. He'd draw up about six to 10 pages, and we'd submit it. And then you had to wait like 6 months to get something back from them. And usually we always got the letter. Like we're not taking any, new hires at this moment. Please submit again within like 3 months or something like that. We went through that period for a while. We went to the cons, like Joe would have like his whole big portfolio, and we'd go up to, I got pictures somewhere of like me and Alex Jones and JB, like, we're all like standing next to each other. And Jim Lee was like point stuff out for John back in the day, like to work on this or work on the highlights here, stuff like that. So we try that. He got a little burned out. I mean, we both did, because, conventions, they're not cheap. And you're standing in line and the competition, all that. So then that's when we went to business for ourselves when it came to owning comic book stores. So we're like, well, if we can't make them, we'll just sell them. Yeah. And we opened up, we actually had 2 different stores, different times. But both times, like, I think we just kind of still felt we wanted to create more than run a shop.
Mm-hmm.
As much as we love our fellow nerds, sometimes it can be a pain in the ass when you're not like, when you want to be more of a creator than somebody who just sells that stuff, So then we got back into it. Like, he was always writing. I mean, Death. He's been writing that since we opened our first shop back in like early 2000s. It's always been something he's kind of been morphing and coming up with, like his big, his big baby, his big project. And he really just wanted to get back on that. So we closed shop and got back into the creative side of things. And I went back into writing, and he got a hold of me. He was like, hey, there's this thing called, Comicsgate. It's this movement for, indie creators and fans, where we can actually do our own thing and not really have to like, follow these guidelines of DC and Marvel. And I was all right, we'll give it a shot. So I've been here in the Indiegogo and the comic skate scene for 3 years. I did my first project was Mothman. We did that because we originally they had 3 of us. There was when we started up King Toad. Um, it was me, Sweens, and Joe. And I figured since we're all from we're all on the Ohio side of things, we're pretty close to West Virginia. We all know the Mothman stuff, so that's why I was like, I'll go with the Mothman story to kind of get going and figuring all this out. And so I did that. That was my first campaign. So, and now I'm doing Swarm because we have Death being made, and it's kind of like it's a big story. It's only I think I don't know how many volumes he plans to have, but the first one, like I say, 300 pages. So it's this big, dark graphic novel kind of book. And I said we did Mothman, which is kind of on the horror side of things. And I was like, well, we need a superhero as well to go along with, if we're going to create this company, we want to have a variety of different things that we can provide and to the customers and stuff. So I was like, all right, I'm going to work on Swarm, which actually came from a book that me and John Ball were doing early 2000s. We came up with a team book. We did about 12 pages in. I kind of shut it down. But there's some characters in there that, me and him developed. I'm like, I think I could take this character, reformat it, and fit the style of a superhero. And that's how Swarm was born. And it's like originally he was more like a robotic kind of creature, and not the case this time around. But yeah, I don't know if that sums up
Cool.
from where we started to where I am now.
Yeah, pretty much.
A bunch of nerd stuff in there, and just trying. That's like me and JB. We just tried a lot of different stuff since our high school days.
And here it is.
Yes. Now, that was another thing too. Is I did want to, if I could, I would, and that was kind of my thing with Swarm as well when it came to having it finished. I wanted a finished book if I could. And I told Joe, I was like, I'm pretty sure I can do it. It might take me a little time. So I spent the past year making sure I got everything done. And it doesn't just go for. I know people will be like, the whole crowdfunding thing is to get the funds to make a book. But CG comes with a lot of hate. A lot of people think Comicsgate guys, they don't finish projects. We hear that all the time. We know it's not true. But I didn't want to be part of that stigma if I could help it. So I said we were promoting Death a lot this past year. I said, well, while we're doing that, I'll take the time to sneak out my own pocket and get Swarm completely finished. That way, nobody can come attacking King Toad, saying, well, how long is it going to take for this book and all that, Because even doing this for a whole year out of my own pocket, you still come up with bumps in the road and stuff like that. Eugene did the coloring, but Eugene was also doing 2 to 3 other books, and he did he got through quite a bit of it, but he started getting backed up. So I had to kind of think on my feet. I'm like, I'm really goal oriented. I like things done. I don't like to push people though. I don't want to be like, hey, this has to be done. But if it can't get done at a certain time, I had to figure out something. And I say Eugene did an awesome job. But he was also, what was it he's working on? He's working for Phil Diaz's books. He's doing Lost Pages.
Oh yeah.
He's doing 2 other books. And I was like, all right, he's getting too swamped with work. I didn't want to be put too much on the back burner. So then I got Sim. Sim came in, and Potier. Sim Potier came in, and I think that's how you say his last name. I always forget how to say Sim's last name.
Crazy Canadian French stuff.
Yeah, so I was like, I'll get this crazy Canadian to work on it, and so he did some coloring for me as well, helped me finish up the book. So I got so many different people on this. Some of it was out of luck, like Adam Miller, who did the back cover there with the Night Wasp on it. He threw something up online or something saying doing a couple pieces if anybody's interested in hiring me for And so I was like one of the first people to hit him up before it got too much. going on for him. So that was kind of luck. And Michael Yakutis, he did the cover, the original cover that has Armadillo on it. He did some of the prints. But yeah, I say a lot of work, but we got it done within a year. I was like, all right, I can launch this and see how it does on Indiegogo. I set the 3K on there because it gives me a little bit of a challenge too. I think another thing you want to do with the Indiegogos and stuff like that is you got to kind of challenge yourself. I think if you set a lot of people will set like $500 goal, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then I feel like I don't know if you challenge yourself enough to like really get yourself out there. You don't really push yourself as much.
Yeah.
That might just be me. I feel like I said it's 3K that way. It makes me force myself to go on shows and I'm not that I'm antisocial or anything, but I'm not the best at these type of things. So like, but I always feel it's kind of a good thing to okay, I gotta try to get this goal. So you just you motivate yourself to reach out to more people. So I feel like if I set to like 500 and I would have made 500 on like. I said that my first week I did 1K. Then I would have been like, all right, I guess I could just do the morning roast and be cool and. But like I said, I think it's a good goal to get me out there and try new shows and meet more people and get in front of the audience a little bit better.
Hey, Edwin.
Oh, hell, Ed.
I could have sworn I saw a certain ace on a print in this campaign.
Yes. Me and Ace are pretty good friends, part of the Hardline group. He also has some King Toad on our King Toad site. We do have Ace 2 on there, Volume 2, if anybody missed that. We do have that. Cool. And yeah, got one of the prints of Swarm.
Ooh, shiny.
Yeah, that's another thing. We went ahead and got the prints all made up. Got all three prints are already done.
Nice.
Made up. I only got one print I still need to get done. It's like the exclusive that comes with the sketch card goals or sketch card perks. I still got to get that one made up. Yeah, got little boxes made up for those.
Oh, nice.
That was kind of me and John eventually would like to try out like action figures and stuff if we ever get that big. But guys, like, I want to try out some little boxes. Get us kind of started in that mindset of getting that kind of supply. So it's like, I'll get these little boxes printed out. We can put our sketch cards in it to those backers, and yeah, that's a cool idea. I actually saw that because like earlier today, I go, well, let me study up a little because I haven't talked to Shane outside of Busted His Shops on Chris's show. So, so I was popping back and forth to a couple shows you did. And then, of course, thanks to the end of Boob, I stuck to your Red Valkyrie interview for a while. Oh, yeah.
and I saw that box. I'm like, oh, that's pretty rad. I have lots of boxes. And so some of them are filled with goodies because I did I went all in on the collector's box and the merch campaign for Global Frequency's first book.
What is their first book?
Mavericks.
Mavericks? Okay.
Mavericks. Yes, he knows he spelled it wrong on purpose.
Yeah, I got a show with them I think Monday.
Mm-hmm.
And now, like I say, I'm not as familiar with like their comics and stuff. Joe is.
Yeah.
Joe is. I'm playing catch up with a couple of people I'm not as familiar with.
Well, they've got that one out, and they're working with Michael Oden on his book. So they're teaming up, doing editing and various other things on the book, and they're going to be the publisher for it. Judex.
Okay. Is he write or is he the artist?
Neff's the writer, yeah.
Okay.
And Frequency Girl does everything else.
Okay, okay.
All the important stuff, like, setting up all the bundles to ship out, and
All the fun stuff.
yeah, she does all the logistics stuff. Otherwise we'd still be waiting for it.
Oh no.
I
Uh,
gave him such a hard time because of the paper shortage and everything. I go, dude, you're in Connecticut. There's trees there. Buy a chainsaw. Make your own paper.
yeah.
The global paper shop. Let's go.
It comes with exclusive termites.
Oh yeah. Read it before it's gone.
Yeah.
So let's take a look at this this trailer. Cool.
Now Chris from Morning Roast likes to make fun of me on that one because it has the TikTok on there. He's like, Shay, why's it got the TikTok? But I'm like, you know why, Chris? Because TikTok music's free. So I use their music
and that's
to make my videos.
Yeah, that's why we made it. So, it's like, shut it.
Well, heck, man, like when I did Mothman, it cost me like $50 just to get, music for it. like there's got to be a cheaper way. So I found it.
And that was it.
That was it. That's how I was able to hire somebody else for something else, save money where I could.
We got to move stuff around. So this book is 50-page action-packed superhero tale of an orphan child named Joel, who thinks he has finally found his new family, but is tragically mistaken. A diabolical organization called the U.S. government, has developed a serum, not that far off, of weaponized genetics that combines a rapid evolutionary process that, when mixed with human and animal DNA, can transform a common human into an elite fighting soldier. It reminds me a little bit of the Silver Age character from DC called Wanna Beast.
Wanna Beast? I don't know that one.
Be Wanna Beast. His power, which was handed down through generations, is that he can combine two animal species together of anything and create a new thing that he can use to fight, the people and doing bad things in the jungle or whatever.
Also, like it was like a guy who could just touch two animals and put them together.
Yeah.
All them poor animals. It's just like some anteater just chilling, and then he's just he just throws a porcupine at it. He's like, yeah, and now you're a fighting machine.
Yeah, Ligor was a thing.
Oh yeah.
And now it is again because we're just crossbreeding them in the zoo. What could go wrong?
Yeah.
Have you watched Jurassic Park yet?
Yep.
So tell us about the featured bundle.
Featured bundle, yeah, you get the Joe Ball cover, the Michael Yakutis cover, and the Adam Miller cover with all three prints. This is what you get in the all cover bundle. And we don't have to miss any of the covers. Yeah. Originally, it was only have two covers, but Joe went ahead and did that one. So I'm like, I guess we will have three covers. That's about it, though. I don't want to, you start getting too many covers on these projects, and it gets a little out of hand.
Yeah.
So
I
really wanted to stick with
some
two,
of those,
but yeah, I figured, there's a lot of Joe Ball fans out there, so I didn't want to do another print. I'm like, we can do three covers. I can do that. That's it. The rest is just going to be prints.
We
Yeah,
gotta move it
this is
into
the
a direction. Yeah.
yeah,
So this
this
is
is the
this is
Michael.
this. Oh, I'm sorry, I keep stepping on you.
No,
Go
no,
ahead.
you're fine. This is the Michael Yakutis cover. It comes with the 3 prints. And like I said, we already have the copy of these already made up. Just got to get them, mass produced. I have that one, and I do have the Adam Miller one that we just kind of showed a little bit there.
So who's this big dude on Michael's cover?
That right there is Armadillo. He will be in the first arc of the volume of the book. He, like, so you know how we was talking, Swarm himself, Joel, was an orphan who was taken by this organization because they experiment on kids and whoever they can get a hold of. They test these serums out on them, and if it's successful, they will either sell the child themselves as the mutant. Like, okay, this wasn't a successful one, we can sell this kid in the black market, and they can use him, as a weapon. Or sometimes they will sell the serum. Now, in Armadillo's case, he is still in that realm of things, but he's on the villain side. He's one of those willing ones. He's like ones that took the serum to become what he is. He wasn't forced. But he does work for that organization because I don't go into like big story arc with the first volume as much as like I wanted to keep everything moving excitingly.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't get a lot of Armadillo's backstory in that, but I mean he is working for our black market organization, and comes across the conflict between him and Swarm as Armadillo is transporting the next batch of children. That's where Swarm will intervene and take on Armadillo. But yeah, that's where he comes into it. So he's on the other side of the spectrum when you have Swarm, Joel, the victim, who uses his power to try to stop those to continue these projects. And then you got people like Armadillo, who's now hired to continue them.
Sounds it's got a little tip of the hat from that independent movie that came out and blew Indiana Jones out of the box office.
What's that? What's that one?
Sound of Freedom.
Oh yeah, the child trafficking. Yeah,
yeah,
I got a little bit of that going on. Yeah. Gotta stop that traffic child.
Adam's cover is like insane.
Yeah, Adam Miller is amazing. He just kind of came out of nowhere, and like I say, he just threw up a thing, like said, "Hey, anybody need any work?" And I was just like, I just immediately DM'd him. I'm like, "Hey, I wouldn't mind, getting a piece from you." And he's a cool dude. I'm glad I got a hold of him now before he really blows up, because I'm sure he'll be one of the really big in-demand guys. He's doing a whole trading card set for like Comicsgate. I already did my little contract with him. So there will be an exclusive Swarm trading card for his set when that comes out. So check out Adam Miller on Twitter. And I know he's showing stuff here and there, like small little like clips of the ones that he's doing. Like he'll show like a shoulder, but like, can you guess who this is? I think he's doing stuff like that on his Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know all he's got lined up for his trading card. But I mean, people like, he's already on the radar for like the Shane Davis, and Ethan Van Sciver's already talked about him. So I think Adam Miller is definitely going to be an upcoming star of the CG realm, I think.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I got a buddy of mine who's a cover artist, freelance illustrator. His screen name everywhere is Sean Zilla. Sean Howe. He got hit up like 2 days ago. He got an email from one of the trading card companies that they wanted him to do like a chase set of cards for them. And I'm like, Upper Deck, I think. And I'm like, well, before you act on that, go talk to Frankie B. Washington, because he's done work for Upper Deck in the past, many years ago. And you can get any of the warning signs from him,
Oh,
whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. He goes, it's just nice to be recognized. I go, yeah, but if you can win the prize, win the prize.
yeah. Yeah, that right there's your Joe Ball cover.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he wanted to go with that, a little bit more the old school feel, where you had like the little wording there, swarm feels the sting. It's kind of like the old school. You even got the on the top. You have all the little characters in the little bubble. So
you got the corner box. He's got the corner box go.
Yeah.
World's greatest comic heroes.
Yep. So you have that available as well. I don't have that one in proof yet. That's Thursday, which will be tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow. We'll be ordering the proof for that, because I was just waiting for the Adam Miller one to come in, and then I'll make sure it looked good, and then I was going to do the Joe Ball one next. So
nice.
It usually takes about 2 weeks. So within 2 weeks, I'll have that proof, and I'll be slapping that all over Twitter, pestering all the people who's probably tired of seeing me post Swarm every day.
Well, I first heard about this project actually through Sim.
Oh yeah, okay.
Because he was sharing up one of the pieces that he worked on, and I'm like, I go, that looks cool.
Yeah, he's right there. There's this one of his. That's going to be the back of it.
Yeah, on the back cover.
Yep.
Nice.
And there's our Ace and Swarm team up. Say me and Ace are pretty good friends, and I wanted to do like a short in volume 1, but I just didn't have enough time and funds to get add on to it. But I think for volume 2, we'll try to slip in a short run in there where those two team up.
That'd be cool, yeah.
Yeah, it probably like either in the middle of the comic or the end, just kind of like a short, 5 to 10 page kind of cool little thing where their universe is kind of either like maybe Swarm himself is fighting somebody and then Ace shows up to help, or vice versa. However, we end up writing it together. Because I talked to Ace about it and he's up for it. It's always cool.
You can even do a parody ripoff of like the old Hostess cupcake commercials from the 70s.
yeah. The Snickers and all those, like they always had those little ads in there where they teamed up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are always cool.
Swarm and Armadillo print.
Yeah, that was Elliot Rodriguez did that one.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually one of the first things I had finished. He got a hold of me and said, "Hey, do you mind if I do a piece?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, sure." And we didn't know what we was going to use it for, so we didn't know if we was going to do trading cards or what, but we went with a print.
Cool.
So Michael Beacon colored that piece. I always forget to mention that. Yeah. And this is our collab. We got obviously Swarm. Mothman was the first book I did. He's down there like giving that, oh yeah, look at my bicep. we got Sween's Oddity in there. And we got Joe Ball's Death.
Yes.
Say Michael Yakutis also did that piece for me. So yeah, I had Michael Yakutis do 3 pieces for me.
Very cool.
And this horribly looking dude is showing off that we have the book finished.
Looking like Dobie Gillis. I know that reference is way before your time.
Yeah, I have no idea who that one is.
And showing up a little bit of merch behind you, the Swarm shirt and
yes, our poster.
Cool art piece, yeah.
Yep. Just testing it out, seeing what works. Now that's going to be that's the print that comes with the sketch card bundles.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So this is the exclusives to people that buy sketch cards.
Yeah, that's how you get that print. Guy got a hold of me. I'm so bad at his name. I want to say like I keep saying Pooji, but I don't think that's right. Puye maybe. But
Yeah, I'm not going to attempt that.
yeah, I feel bad, because I've only talked to him through messaging, so I never had like a, an actual conversation vocally with him, so I don't know how to say his name. But he had a thing seeing if anybody was hiring, and I was like, what, I think I can slip another print in somehow, and that's when I was like, oh, hey, why don't I just make a print for the boxes, the sketch boxes, so. And it gave a chance to show off Swarm as just himself as Joel, which you do see in the comic.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't have a lot of art with him outside of his suit, so I thought that'd be kind of a neat little thing where he's actually, if you look at it, he's reading the Ace, and he's got a King Toad shirt on.
Oh,
he's
nice.
He's just chilling on a couch.
Yeah, just reading some comics.
Yeah, he's just chilling, reading, doing what Joel does on his time off when he's not trying to stop a black market from selling children.
Yeah,
he just reads comics.
That's just evil. In between, I read comics to see what ways I can foil the bad man's plans again.
Yeah, how can I do this? Oh, this works.
So, tell us about his swarm, because obviously these look like little tiny robots.
Yes. With the mighty help of Kevin. Kevin is his best friend. Again, I don't go a lot with Kevin in the first volume. He's in there, obviously, and he's the tech guy. But he's Joel's friend, who's a tech junkie. So he gives Swarm kind of his little gadgets, like the little bee drones here. Now, again, this will be more. I guess it'll be a little bit of a spoiler for volume 2, when you get to see more of their relationship as far as like how they came about being a team, and where Joel gets all this stuff, and that is the fact that he takes the tech, like he finds these places these organizations have been, and he just uses their tech and stuff against them. Pretty much, Kevin just steals. He gives Kevin all the goodies that he finds from stopping these people, and Kevin uses it and tinkers with stuff and makes things like bee drones.
So Kevin is to Joel what Microchip used to be to Punisher before they cucked him.
Yeah, there you go. I was trying to think of like a good analogy or a person to go with there. Yeah. He's the Alfred in a sense too, I guess, because Alfred kind of tinkered around, right?
He tinkered around a little bit, and
but Joel don't have the money.
Yeah,
neither does Kevin. Like I said, he just uses the stuff that once they
scavenge.
Yeah, they kick the hell out of these guys, and then Kevin uses his brains, and Joel uses his bronze, and that's how you get Swarm.
Like bits and pieces, and be like, what can you build with this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because Swarm himself, he's not like the most powerful guy. Like he does have out of his mutants abilities, other than looking like the Cheerio guy. Unfortunately, yeah, he's like, man, I got yellow skin and antennas now. Sucks to be me. He has he can protrude like stingers out of his fingers, like projectiles.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got some human, like a little bit above average human strength kind of thing going on. So he's one of the ones that the project themselves were like, okay, this wasn't the best. We want to take him out back and old Yeller his ass.
Yeah. Is it just me or did he squirt honey at Armadillo?
Yes,
That's
yes.
hilarious.
He even jokes about it. So it's not quite honey, but he makes it look like it. He goes with this theme.
I work with what I got.
Exactly.
It's not actual honey. That would be stupid. Yeah, honey's like, $10 a quart.
Yeah.
Probably more now, thanks to Bidenomics.
Yeah.
Oh,
Here you get a little glimpse of Joel or Swarm not in his outfit.
oh, there he is.
Yep, he's just chilling at the movie theater. The old school way, you could be yellow, and as long as you put a hat and glasses on, just right out of the TMNT books themselves, you could just get away with it. You could just walk around and nobody would know the difference.
The girl probably doesn't realize he just, well, he looks jaundiced.
He's like, man, that guy has a bad liver.
She's probably just mad that he's crunching popcorn during the movie.
Yeah, actually, that's the point. He's talking through it.
Oh God.
Yeah.
You heard the guy, Kevin. Don't be rude. So what can his little robotic drones do for him?
They do certain things, like some of them. Kevin will detonate them. Joel can as well, but so they can be active like little explosives. They can also be for infiltrating, like little cameras on them and stuff. That way, when he sends them out, like he is there, they can go looking for things. So yeah, blow stuff up and look for stuff. Pretty much what drones do today, I guess.
Yeah, pretty much. It reminds me a little bit of when they did the last good Spider-Man story I ever read was the Superior Spider-Man when Doc Ock took over Peter's body.
Oh yeah.
To be a better hero than Peter. And he made little tiny spider drones, which were his eyes and ears, like all over New York City. They probably blew up too, because it was Ock. So
yeah. Here I gave a peek at Night Wasp. Now she is kind of the in between, because I say we have Joel, who took his abilities and is trying to stop things from continuing. Then you got Armadillo, who obviously took
wants
the
everything
more
to continue, yeah.
the villain side of things, and she was part of the same thing that Joel went through. Was experimented on. They didn't like the results and was pretty much going to execute her. But she gets free, and she is kind of the villain that you kind of sympathize for just a little bit. I mean, she's still a villain, but she resents what she's become.
Mm-hmm.
And so now she's in the sewers building her own little hive. And you kind of see in this panel the little thing that's attached to the guy's face. So you got a little bit of an alien thing where she puts on their face, it sends down an egg, and then they will morph into members of her hive. Kind of like they're mindless zombies to a point. They listen to her. And so she's building her hive to, seek revenge on the human race.
On everybody.
Or whoever she finds that comes close to the sewers. She's like, yep, you're mine now.
A little Borgish.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always got to get a Star Trek reference in, so.
I'm not the biggest Trekkie fan, so I don't know much about it, but I do know the Borgs because growing up in the 90s, Captain Picard, the Borgs, I kind of remember that a little bit. That was kind of like my Star Trek, I guess. I think that came on like in the evenings when I was growing up as a kid.
Yeah, I remember when that came on, and I was just like, I remember watching like the first episode at my friend's house, and I'm like, dude, I can't go out tonight. Why?
That was good. It was pretty good.
I got to go home and set my VCR.
It had a very good cast. You had Worf.
Yeah.
I want to say Data. I can't remember the guy with the visor though.
Reading Rainbow, Geordie LaForge.
Yeah. So you had a very unique cast. I didn't mind it. That's about the only Star Trek I really ever got into, though.
Yeah. Well, the original, because I was born in the late 60s, as late in the 60s as almost you can be born. November of 69. So I came in on the tail end. So I was basically a little kid in the 70s. And at that point, they had started bringing back the original series in syndication. So I grew up watching that, and I was just like, mesmerized. I'm like, this is awesome.
Yeah, I don't know when. I think
was
actually
between the old shows and the new shows that didn't come till like later.
I think my first introduction to like the original cast of Star Trek was there's like two movies. I now again, since I don't know the Trek too well, you might hate me when I say this. I know there was one, obviously the one where the guy's like Khan, but I always remember the scene where like they put like things in their ears. And it used to creep me out as a kid. Now that was like one of my first introductions to Star Trek. And then there's the movie with the whales. I don't remember if that's the same movie or not. I don't think it is, because I think that's one where I think Spock dies or something.
Spock dies in 3. So in the 70s, they wanted to test out the movie market to bring the cast back, and they did the motion picture, which was just like an out in space, like sci-fi fantasy thing. It was because all the special effects back then, late 70s, were all new. Thanks in part to ILM. So they went with that, and then second one was Wrath of Khan, where they're putting little creepy bugs in the guy's ears.
Yeah.
Spock actually dies in the third one as a result of what happens at the end of the second movie. He kind of like dies in the second movie, and they bury him, but they bury him on the planet they created with like this planet bomb. And he aged too quick, so they went back and rescued him. And then 4, at the beginning of 4, they pick him back up. He's not quite himself. And that was the one with the whales.
Okay. Yeah, I just remember there being whales.
There be whales here, Captain.
Yeah, so that's all I remember. I thought it was just kind of out there. Again, I was watching those as a kid, so it was like over my head, I think.
Yeah.
Especially what, I just catch them when they were like either on TV. I think my grandpa had them on like VHS. So
yeah, I used to have them on VHS, and now I bought like the whole set of movies that were out at the time. So it was like all the original cast, and then all the Next Generation movies that were out. And they did a thing, the captain's chair, where they basically got the captain from each show and movie roundup together in one room, and they just like kind of like went at each other a little bit and got like a little snarky, but just talked history of the show. And
now, did you like the newer movies?
Meh. I liked him until they killed Data. I'm like, what the hell? And then, of course, they just bring him back in the TV show for Picard. And I'm like, it wasn't a good show, I didn't think. It was fan service. So the first one was like the guy that tells you he's going to give you a right uppercut and then gives you a right uppercut, so you're not there to get hit by it. It was just so blatantly plotted out that Stevie Wonder could see what was happening. The second one started out like really good, and then got all tropey and bullshitty. And the third one was nothing but fan service because they brought everybody that had ever been on the show back.
Did you watch? I know you already said something about Jurassic Park earlier, so this kind of made me think of that. Like, did you watch the last Jurassic Park movie? It had that. It had like, I think it just had way too many the fan service thing going on, so they could bring the whole cast back.
Oh yeah.
But it was so badly done. I hated that movie. I know some people like it, but for me, I hated that movie. It was so boring.
No, it's like, Easter egg fan service is better. But not to make the entire thing about, one thing in particular. Like when Carrie Fisher died and they completely rewrote the script for that last movie. That sucked.
Oh, Star Wars?
Yeah. They're like, well, we thought it would be cool since the unusable footage that we don't have because she passed away. We're going to have her 20-something-year-old daughter stand in for her, and we're just going to do back shots, but she's going to be portraying her mother's infamous character. And I'm like, okay, great.
Yeah, it was such a weird thing because you had I can't think of the little orange character, Maz, I think was her name, Maz.
Yeah.
Like out of nowhere, Maz was like standing there because Leia just starts walking off, right? And everybody's like, "Where's she going?" And she's like, "She must do what she has to do," or something. Like she says something really weird like that. Like all of a sudden, everybody knows she's about to go and fucking die. So she can kind of do, I guess, what Luke did in the second one there, like where he did the whole time or like whatever that was, where he kind of like showed himself in a different planet, used all his energy.
Yeah.
To, I don't know. Focus.
Yeah, I'm like, sorry, that's not a Jedi power. That.
Yeah, I don't even know what the hell they even call that. I was never a big fan of. You know how like they introduced it in the second one there, where Rey and Kylo were somehow communicating each other, right? And that had to do with, I know that had to do with Snoke. Snoke was controlling it. But I hate the fact that it didn't show from other people's angles because it was all like camera work. It's like, I see you. Can you see me? I can't see what's behind you, kind of stuff. I'm like, okay, interesting. But how does that work with people around them? Like, is Kylo just standing there talking to like fucking nothing? And the same with her.
Mm-hmm.
And because like at one point, like she like puts her lightsaber behind her.
Yeah.
And then Kylo comes up with it. I'm like, how the fuck did that? What does it look like? Like, did it just morph out of existence? And then over there, we just got a camera shot. It's like a fancy camera shot. I'm like, that doesn't explain shit.
It was
what happened. We're Star Wars fans at this point. This is like the 9th film. You can't just throw something in and it not,
Well, we all know what happened, and her name is Kathleen Kennedy.
Yeah.
What can we do here to piss the actual fans off?
The weird thing is, like, I'm a Star Wars junkie to a point. Like, I can love Star Wars, I can hate Star Wars at the same time with about any of the franchise. But yeah, the last 3 definitely had more flaws than I would say 1, 2, and 3 definitely has its flaws.
Huge flaw, Jar Jar.
Yeah, like when people's like, if George Lucas never gave it up, I'm like, I mean, George Lucas really kind of got a big head and then went more for like, he let his, I don't know, he wasn't like the best writer.
Yeah.
That definitely showed in 1, 2, and 3. It looked pretty.
I think the last 3 movies were made to just convince you that the prequels weren't actually all that bad. Comparatively speaking.
You know what though? At least 1, 2, 3 still tried to be its own thing.
Mm-hmm.
It still didn't give. I mean, it had fan service, but it wasn't like your typical fan service. Like when they're like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of a good one from like the newer ones where you're just kind of like, like when they threw the Emperor in. Yeah. 1, 2, 3 had it, but they were still doing something different with him. It was at the beginning of Palpatine. It was still done corny, like when the whole point where like literally Anakin Skywalker was going to kill the Emperor once he found out who he was and was going to help Mace Windu. And then literally within the same like 30 minutes in real time was like, I need him. It's like sliced his arm off Mace and then threw him out the window. And then it went right into, okay, I'm going to be a Sith. There wasn't no like compromise. I need you to save Padme. Don't think this is anything different. It was straight up loyalty. Get on your fucking knees. Call yourself Darth Vader. I'm like, what? Like, bad writing.
The best thing out of that whole thing was when he goes and murders all the kids. Mm-hmm. And then he turns and looks over his shoulders with his hood up, his lightsaber down, his hood up, and he turns and looks behind him and his eyes are glowing orange.
Yeah, he has like those weird Sith eyes.
Somebody was a freaking genius and got a commission on Something is Killing the Children 1, issue 1, first print, and had them draw that image of Anakin at the bottom going in scale, going into the woods. Something's killing the children. He goes, yes, it's Master Anakin. And I'm like, I just want to get like either the hardcover or the trade that shows that first image from the first cover of that series, and have somebody actually do that again.
Yeah. Now, do you follow any of the shows?
Oh god, they make it so difficult. They're so shitty.
I actually didn't mind it. I know there's kind of like a mixed feelings with the Obi-Wan. I didn't mind the Obi-Wan one as much. I didn't mind Mandalorian was like too bad until, like I said, season 1 was obviously the best. But as like the bad thing about it was a success because it was its own standalone thing, right? You had a little bit of fan service in there, but it was like Disney was like, oh wait, people like this, so let's keep throwing in more and more and more of the fan service. So like the time you get to like season 3, it's like, you didn't need like to bring in all these characters that were in, Clone Wars and the other Star Wars movies to really like let Mando be his thing. Didn't need it from season 1. It came out of nowhere and it was just good.
And now they've announced that Kennedy has canceled The Mandalorian.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
That's the last thing I heard. Well, because it's like, did you cancel it, or is it just on permanent hiatus because of the writer's strike and the actor's strike?
Here's another thing about the shows that, like, even though I don't mind them, like I say, but like being an old school kind of character that I am, I don't like the fact I can't own it. So to me, it's like anytime they want, they can be like, you know what? Okay, we did like this. Let's just go ahead and erase it. So it's like, like the fact they can't own a physical copy of like the Obi-Wan series. Like, it's supposed to be canon, but I can't have it in my own personal collection. And you could just delete it if they just all of a sudden like wiped it from Disney Plus, right? Does it exist anymore? Only between like people like talking about it,
Yeah.
That's
the biggest thing I hated about the Obi-Wan series was just they filmed it so dark to make it ominous, but it was difficult to watch because like I ain't got good eyes to begin with, but I'm like my TV's like 10 feet in front of me, like 50-inch TV, and I'm watching it at night, so I should be able to see better without any glare coming in from the window or anything.
Right.
And I'm like squinting, trying to see what the hell's going on. You can't see where they are in comparison to each other when they step in to go to fight. It was bad form.
I know Ahsoka comes out like next week.
Next Wednesday, yeah.
Next Wednesday. Now that one scares me for the fact of like I like Ahsoka, but I'm a big fan of Thrawn, and I'm really scared to see what they do with Thrawn.
Oh my god!
Because like the bad thing about these shows is they have so many different writers for each episode type thing, or directors and stuff.
Yep.
That I feel like the visions change, And I'm just like, if Timothy Zahn isn't like giving the sign off, maybe he is. If he is, that's cool. If he still has something to do with it, like I forgave not Clone Wars. What's the TV show that they put Thrawn in? Rebels. Like I didn't really like him that much in the Rebels cartoon, but I can throw it off as okay. It's just some cartoon off to the side. I don't have to like think too much about. But this is like the first live action version we get of him, and I don't know if it's going to translate well compared to how he's written in the books.
It just makes you wonder, gee, what diversity hire is playing Thrawn?
Yeah, well, then like,
and can he even act? Because
they got the voice actor, but like a voice actor versus like an actual actor is going to be kind of, you never know. But like the Rebels cartoon, he gets beat by whatever the little fucking kid is. Azra, is that his name?
Ezra, yeah.
Yeah, he pretty much gets beat by Azra. I'm like, this is Thrawn we're talking about. I know Azra's in training to be a Jedi, but Thrawn has dealt with Jedi, and he's always like 5 to 10 steps ahead of most people. So the fact that he gets like swept off with like the space whales and all that crap, I just, again, at least it was just a cartoon, but now the fact of like that they have to use that storyline to go along with the live action, I don't know, man. I don't want to see them mess with
and
Thrawn.
it's
But
like, are they gonna give him his little pets that negate the Jedi
yeah,
and
yeah,
and the sabers that he used to have on his shoulders in the Zahn book?
exactly. I don't
I remember I raced out and spent way too much money on that book, not knowing that like if I had waited 2 weeks, I could have bought a used copy off the shelf of the same store for like
Mm,
$10. Um, I think the two best novels I read in the old Star Wars stuff was the original Thrawn story, that first novel, and another novel called Black Saber.
okay.
Black Saber is kind of a behind the scenes uh, Star Wars spy thriller with the general that was in like the control room with Mon Mothma,
Okay.
the male general,
Hmm.
um, and he goes undercover, and Project Dark Saber is actually the Death Star. So it takes
Okay.
place before the prequel movie that they made to go right in front of New Hope that I can never remember the name of.
Uh, Rogue
With
One.
yes,
Or
that
not
one.
Rogue One. Is it Rogue One?
Yes.
Yeah.
So this takes place just leading up to Rogue One. So that novel would actually lead into Rogue One if they had done a movie. But when Disney got their dirty hands on it, like none
Yeah.
of this stuff that was canon with George is canon with us.
Yeah. Now they had you remember the villain that was in Rogue One? Uh, that was his name.
Oh yeah, the cocky guy with the
Yeah,
cape.
the one that was like coming for Darth Vader or want to be Darth Vader's like number one.
Yeah.
uh, there's a novel out where it has him using the man, what was those ant like people in episode 2 back in the day in the movie episode 2.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You
I
know what I'm
can't remember
talking
the
about.
name, but they were like insectoid creatures.
Yeah, yeah. He like uses them to help build the Death Star. So it's kind of a weird thing that
Well, basically, the Empire enslaved everybody.
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
You
they
know, so
use those guys.
because those guys were part of
Dooku's thing.
Dooku's thing. Lord Sauron. Uh, I get them confused. They're on all these nerd movies. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But he used them and all the others for you know, the banking guild and all the others that he put aside as like the outside force that was, secretly working through the Emperor.
Yep.
But nobody but Dooku knew it because.
I thought it's so funny that last movie. I know we've talked about Star Wars a lot now, but that last movie, it still kind of confuses me that the Emperor was okay. He went in like I wouldn't say hiding because he was being cloned. I don't know how much of they didn't give us much on it other than we see him like all kind of a little bit disfigured and we see
Yeah.
the what's his face Snoke's like in
Mhm.
jars. But then he like raises that whole army from under the crest of the planet or something.
Yep.
Like I mean, there's like literally like 1,000, if not more, star destroyers, all armed with planet-destroying weaponry. And I talked to my buddy at work about this. I'm like, do you know if like were did all those have people on them when he raised them up? Like were these people just living underground in these like star destroyers? Like, well, sooner or later we're going to run out of rations, so we kind of hope this emperor pulls because the emperor was ready to like just I don't even know if he was just going to just die.
Yeah, he was ready to turn the entire new empire over to his granddaughter. Rey Skywalker.
Yeah, but like if it didn't work, I don't. To me, it's just kind of a funny thing, like where these people just sitting underground. I don't know. It was it's just a weird. Again, they went for visuals. They're like, hey, this looked really cool visually to have, thousands of star destroyers. But then you ask yourself, as like, a fan, you're like, well, okay, how did these get built? Why are they underground if nobody even knows where this fucking planet is anyways? And like, why not have that whole army already out there? Why have it all in one area? Like, obviously that was a terrible idea.
Yeah.
And one, they should have been able to win anyways. Like, even if the Emperor died, like, I don't think all those like random ships who are not armed with planet destroying fucking weapons would take them on. I mean, one of them just shoot into that crowd of all those ships. Like, oh yeah, a world destroying ship will decimate
Yeah,
that
it was
whole
like,
army.
what can we make up that will act like the ventral exhaust port in the first Death Star
Yeah.
to let the rebels blow up the planet, the Emperor, and his entire fleet?
Yeah, pretty much.
And it was like, well,
Oh yeah, because they had that one command ship, right?
Yeah, this one space antenna is going to control everything.
That for some reason, Finn just knew because they didn't want to explain that he's force sensitive, but they sure as hell wanted to throw it in there, like just as a, well, what do we do? How do they know? Would you use Finn? We'll just say he's force sensitive. He's just like, it's this ship because I know. It's like, what? Like, man, that's some lazy ass writing. I know Star Wars has had that throughout its whole franchise, but that film definitely made it noticeable.
Yeah, I mean, I remember early on when Dark Horse had the license, and they were actually doing comic book versions, like miniseries versions, like a 4 or 5 issue run of the novels that were like, you know, real popular at the time, like Splinter in the Mind's Eye, which actually teams up Luke and Leia, Jedi wise, against Vader, and you know, all this other stuff. And I'm like, that's cool, but
yeah, I'm really surprised they never went through with the 3 children. Instead, just narrowed it down to Kylo Ren. I'm like, why? Why don't you have 3? That way, if your franchise did well, you had more to explore with. You know, like, it's so weird that they're like, no, Kylo Ren, the only one, and we're going to kill him. Just like everything else in fucking Star Wars when Disney took over. They're like, dead. I'm like, what?
yeah,
why? You idiots.
You would swear that Harrison Ford is on a mission to get killed as all of his major characters through his entire career. So they either have to start over from scratch or just wipe it out.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, we got the Star Wars guy. Steve, Splinter the Mind's Eye was the first ever Star Wars novella. Oh, okay. I went back to try to like I used to be one of those guys that would sign up to the science fiction book club and get all these big versions of books, and then eventually, you know, a year later, pay off the tab, and you know, then I was no longer Clark Kent. I was Bruce Wayne, and I'd have an account again. I actually got like the complete Lord of the Rings all in a book club volume that is like this wide. It's like bigger than a Webster's. I went back and looked at it recently because I thought they were out of business. I went back and looked at it recently. They've got nothing there. They've got like they just released the first book in the series for Star Trek Discovery, the new one on Paramount Network. And they had like one collected edition of Michael Moorcock's why can I never think of his name? Elric. It was like an anthology Elric book that had been out before, and I'm like, oh cool. I kept trying to hit the button to join, and it just wouldn't do. It wasn't like working or anything. I go, okay, must be a sign from above. I shouldn't do this. But I looked under like all their tabs with all the stuff, you know, the different, you know, fantasy, magic, blah blah blah. They didn't have crap. And I'm like,
now, did you go down that dark path of Magic the Gathering? You said Magic. I was thinking Magic.
Yeah, twice.
Say now, the funny thing is, when me and Joe Ball opened our shop, I knew nothing about Magic the Gathering. Neither did he. We actually had like one of our fellow locals who just became like a regular. He kept pushing to get Magic in our store. I was like, all right, I mean, we had at that time our dealership or whatever, the Diamond distributor and all those people.
Mm-hmm.
We could buy our Magic cards there. And yeah, so I got introduced to it because we had a shop. So I'm like, I guess I got to learn it. And I didn't mind it. Definitely a money sink though. Man.
Oh yeah, especially once they got sold to Hasbro.
Yeah, it's so hard to keep up with all the like the tourneys. Like we'd have like the Friday Night Magic tourneys and all that, and then you'd have cards that would like shoot up to like $80 for like a Jace, Planeswalker, and
oh yeah, my favorite.
Like 2 weeks later, it's back down to like $10, and just the fluctuation in Magic the Gathering is so rough.
I didn't care. I love that deck, the mill deck.
Oh, do you like to mill people?
Oh.
Did you play blue? Did you?
Oh yeah.
You're that asshole that show up like, oh, you don't feel like doing anything today, do you? Discard hand. Discard 10 from the top of your deck.
No, my favorite one was count your draw pile, divide it by 50%, and throw all of those away on the top half. And I would really like doing that when there were like a few cards in black that would let you peek at like your top 3 cards and let you, for those 3 cards, eventually, stack your deck. So, if you had like a big power card underneath that could kill somebody in one turn, I'd be like, he's too quiet. Mill, lose half your cards. And I'm like, and even when I quit playing like regular Magic, like, oh, you can't play those cards anymore. They're too OP. I go, you want to step outside? I go, this is going to be too OP in a minute. You're too used to talking to people from behind a computer screen. You spend more time picking your teeth up off the sidewalk, boy.
I'm surprised they haven't done like a Magic the Gathering movie.
Yeah, they've done. I think the writing on the wall was when they stupidly did the World of Warcraft garbage movie.
Oh yeah,
And it was and even like the last Dungeons and Dragons movie they did.
I didn't see that, but I didn't really have any interest in seeing the Dungeons and Dragons movie once I saw that. Like, I just think it's so weird. Like, you have Dungeons and Dragons, you have this whole I wouldn't even say world because everybody creates their own world, but it still has like guidelines to like the creatures and stuff like that. But you have where you could tell like your own. It's like having Lord of the Rings, but with free range. Now you don't have to follow a certain thing.
Yeah, like open source world.
Yeah, but you can make it this detailed, very rich world, right? That the D&D community would really love, and you make a comedy. I'm like, fucking why, man? Like, why would you take that and we can just run it to like something really epic? Because we haven't had anything in the fantasy community epic since the Lord of the Rings films that came out like 1999 or some crap.
Yeah, it's just
they could have totally done something
they had to wokify it to make the women the strong, brave men, and the men the weak-willed women.
Yeah, like when I saw a preview, it showed like I can't think of the Star Trek actor's name.
Christopher Pine, the one that played Kirk in the J.J. Abrams.
Yeah, he's like sitting there playing like his is it a lute? However you want to call it. And I know it's a spell, but he like it starts messing up. And it's just I don't know. I'm like, I get that stuff like that happens like when you're playing D&D. You just come with your DM will do funny stuff. But I just really felt they missed a big opportunity of creating like a really awesome, epic world. Of
the only D&D movie we have interest in seeing is from the cartoon.
Yeah, like the original cartoon.
Yep.
All right, that was now was that in 80s or 70s even? I don't even.
That was 80s. Yeah.
Was it 80s? Okay.
Yeah.
Did you see they came out with if you go to Walmart, I don't know if they still have it like out there a lot, but
the
they came out
figures,
with
yeah,
figures of the original ones. I thought that was kind of cool.
they came out with the figures, and each figure came with like a different die. So when you bought the whole set, you had a whole exclusive dice set.
Yeah, that's sweet. I didn't know that.
What got me is I was spectacularly excited when I came across this video on YouTube one day. And then my excitement went like Jim Ignatowski and Taxi playing a round of Pac-Man in the garage. Because they got actors that looked exactly like the cartoon characters. And they were fighting. And they were fighting Venger and Tiamat in the background. It was a car commercial. From from the Netherlands or someplace that didn't speak English. So, from like the other side of the planet. And it was just like a car commercial. Really? And I'm like, that's terrible. Why did you do that to me? Yeah. I can't even afford that car or fit in it for that matter, because it was like a tiny little Yugo thing. I go, you have to take a can opener and take the top off it for me to get in that car.
Into the current news of things, did you see that? I didn't even know this was a thing. That Toxic Avenger is being remade.
Yeah, I saw a thing about it. They're like making like a brand new live action.
The thing is, like, movie. I really don't think you can capture what trauma films did.
No, there's no way.
Because my thing is, that was like an era. That was you had to be there during that time to understand what that was. It was almost like watching something you weren't allowed or supposed to watch. For me, anyways, because growing up, I was a kid, so my dad go rent Toxic Avenger, had no idea that I was going to be watching a film where a dude busts into one dude's fucking chest, rips out his intestines, and then starts jump roping with them and like singing like "Skip to My Lou, My Darling." You're like, what the hell? You just can't capture the. I don't think they can recapture that.
No.
Now
they're probably planning it around the silly '90s cartoon that followed like the second movie.
No, what killed me is, did you see who's playing Toxie?
No.
Peter Dinklage. Right? I'm like, what? So he's going to be a dwarf? Like, what? Yeah, I saw the like a photo or something that they have going around now that came out like yesterday or day before. I don't think there's a trailer yet. Oh, what's he say? 2023, the Toxic Masculinity Avenger. Yeah, it's
the Toxic Masculinity Avenger.
Yeah, like I don't know if he's just going to be playing the part like maybe before he gets turned into Toxic Avenger, like maybe he's just a little tiny dwarf who gets thrown into the shit and then becomes
and grows 5 feet. Yeah,
yeah, grows 5 feet.
Wow.
But I don't even think it's a trauma film at this point either, right?
No.
Well, yeah, it's probably somebody totally different.
It's just like we got to remake everything. Why? It's already got a built-in audience. Yeah, that likes the original. You moron.
And I know it makes it sound like old fogies. Yeah. But the point of those trauma films is they were meant to be cheesy. They were meant to have bad effects on purpose. That was the fun of it. It's kind of like when you watch B-rated horror films. Like
you're there to watch boobs.
Sometimes they're just meant to look shitty and cheesy on purpose because it just has that its own vibe. And like I say, I don't really think you can really. They're probably coming up with this one film. It might do a little decent at the box office, but it's definitely never going to be.
I think like after the first day of being released, the internet will destroy it.
Yeah, especially like its original fans. Like trauma fans are not going to.
Yeah, no,
it gravitate towards it.
You know, there's so much like great B movie stuff out there, and even classic stuff like you know, not even just like the Universal stuff, but like the oh, it was a monster company. Their Dracula movies actually starred Peter Cushing as Van Helsing, Grand Moff Tarkin there. Hamahara.
Oh, okay.
It's classic stuff, and I actually saw like a big collected box set of like 90 Hamahara films in like a special collector's case, for like $49, like on sale on Amazon. But you know, I'm broke.
Now they better never touch my one of my favorite classic movies is Monster Squad. I really hope they never touch it, but I'm sure they will eventually.
Oh yeah,
and I will cry. I'm like, no, don't touch Monster Squad.
yeah.
But they will.
Leave this stuff alone.
You know what I love about that movie? It's like just how it just captures the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's so much stuff in it you can't get away with now. Like I love like when they call each other faggots. You can't do that now. You can't. Like people will like lose their mind.
Whatever, faggot.
Yeah. But you know, growing up, that's just how it was with your friends and people. It's just
Steve was we are old.
We are old.
Yes.
Yeah. I hit the big 4-0. You know, so I'm there. Yeah. You're like, fuck you.
I'm like gonna hit 55 at the end of the year, so I'm like, oh. And you know, when your teenage daughter says, "Dad, can you help me with some history?" Sure. What do you want to know?
You like I am history.
Well,
I'm the embodiment of it.
She's like, well, I mean, you were alive during the 1900s, so.
Oh, the 1900s thing coming up, huh?
I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Go, how old you gonna be this year? 16. You want to make it to your next birthday? Don't say that to me. You know I'm not gonna do nothing. You can run faster than I can chase after you in a motorized wheelchair. So she's become an amazing artist in her own right. But she's another one, you know, younger generation is like completely into the manga and anime.
Okay.
Because one of her
have some of it. I have, what do I have? Not Crunchyroll. Shonen Jump. I have that app, so I just I limit myself to only a couple. Like I watch, or not watch, but I read like Chainsaw Man.
Yeah, she's got like she's waiting to get Chainsaw Man, and asked me if I've read it yet. I go no, because
it's, you know what,
I got stuff to do. But
the first arc is pretty good, but into the second arc, like I like the villain, but like it's kind of it's very sloppy.
Yeah,
like, it loses its touch after like the first. Manga is gay. Ace is not a fan. Ace is not a fan.
Ace is siding with Mo Biggs on this one. Do not mention that which shall not be named. A quote from Neff, because Mo will kick him off his own stream because he has the power. He's He-Man of the chat.
Yeah. There's just so much manga it's just exploded that like now a lot of it is like kind of copies off of each other. Like you get kind of burned out when you start really digging into manga. A lot of it is just like, okay, here's a group of kids who had to deal with demons. That's about the gist of like, I'd say 80% of manga I come across anymore. It's like demons and, you know, young people dealing with them.
Well, my daughter knows, you know, the kind of stories that I like, you know, fantasy, superheroes, horror, all that stuff. She got me hooked on My Hero Academia.
I do like that one. I haven't finished the last season, but
I finished.
Watching
the other week, I binged season 4 in a day and a half.
Dang.
Like, but it's got a good some serious stuff. Well, I got nothing else to do. I'm sitting here reading a comic, looking at the screen, reading a comic, on my phone, looking at the screen. And I'm like, I take a break from my phone or the book I'm reading during the intro and the outro of every episode.
Gotcha.
So that gives me like, okay, new episode. I've got 10 minutes of reading time, 5 before, 5 after.
But the intensity, they keep the intensity in that show. That's what I like about it. Like everything about that show, like is like extreme a lot of times. It does have some downtime. I didn't really care for the arc where I think it might be season 3 where I'm trying to remember the villain. I think he was he used to go to the school.
Oh yeah.
And he's trying to get back at them a little bit or something. Like I just thought that was kind of corny. But other than that character, did you get to? I don't without spoilers. I'm very bad at the names. I haven't watched it in a little while. But the guy that has the hands over his face.
Yeah.
What did you see him as a child? Did you get to that part?
No.
Okay, I won't say anything then. Yeah, that when it actually shows how he becomes that character, dude, it's so fucked up. Like I was like, I can't because that show can be really childish and then just in a snap, like it gets serious. You're like,
well, the thing that I really hate about I can't with every passionate bone in my body, I hate the living hell out of Dragon Ball Z.
You know what? I can never really get into it myself. Like I like the characters, I like the designs, some of the fight scenes. But when I try to watch Dragon Ball Z, I just fall out of it every time. I don't know what it is. It just doesn't.
It's too goofy. It's got the googly eyes and the shaky shakes, and I'm like, this is just stupid. I mean, I grew up when I was like in elementary school. They had brought over a couple of seasons of Star Blazers, which I loved the hell out of. And they had brought over a show that over here they called it Force 5. And what it was, they ran it Monday through Friday, and like every Monday was a new Vanguard Ace cartoon. Tuesday was the Space Gateers, where they could form into 3 different kinds of robots. Friday was Guy King, and Thursday was my favorite with Orion Quest, Grandizer. And they are releasing a Grandizer video game this year.
So it was kind of like what was Cartoon Network back in the 90s? Toonami?
Yeah, Toonami. Toonami, like late at night.
Like that? Like where it
no, because this was like during the day, like on like a regular like UHF channel.
Oh, okay.
In the Boston area, and but Star Blazers is like kind of like a little Robotech-ish, except they've got like one great space battleship. They've got this super weapon on it called the wave motion gun that an alien gave them so they could make the trip to her planet so she could give him stuff that would save the Earth. So like it was a continual countdown, like every episode. The Earth only has this many days left. And it was cool. They had an alien race called the Gamelons that basically resembled they were like space Nazis. And it was good. They did a live action movie, and the live action movie was taken directly from the animated episodes.
Oh, okay.
They were hoping to make a trilogy to basically turn the entire first season into 3 movies.
You know what? Anime that confuses the hell out of me, has a big following. Maybe just a lot of it went over my head, but I had a hard time following Evangelion.
Oh yeah, I haven't. I call it something else. I pronounce it Evangelion or whatever.
I might even say it wrong. I don't know.
Yeah. We're probably both saying it wrong.
Joe like kept pushing. You need to watch. You need to watch this. I'm like, all right. I finally just sat down 1 week and just kind of watched all the episodes. And I didn't hate it. I like the animation. I like some of the story arc, but it just started getting really confusing. Especially, I mean, I know, I guess even in the community, the last like the ending didn't set well with the community or something. So they actually went back and did like a movie and gave it a different ending than the show or something like that.
Yeah, I hate it when they do that, when they cave to the mob. To It's like, well, if you want a different ending, for $4.3 million, we will license it out to you, and you can make your own film.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
this is ours, not yours. Sorry, it's
Yeah.
there for enjoyment. But if you didn't enjoy it, move on. I think the biggest foothold manga got in the West here was the fact that we're up to paying like $6 to $9 for a floppy issue from the mainstream.
Mhm.
It's definitely a $9 book if all the store has left is the cardstock cover that they throw on half of them as a variant.
Yeah.
But they can get, like, 22 pages of story for $6.99, or for $9.99 they can get 100 pages of story.
Yeah. Yep. You're not wrong.
And they don't, certain things like the original versions of are like an incredible amount of money, but they just keep reprinting them and nobody cares. They want to, they just kind of like want to read the story.
Yeah. One thing I give manga credit for, at least for now, versus the mainstream comics, is I like the fact that they're not on a reboot craze.
Oh,
So
God, yeah.
I think that's the problem with like Marvel and DC. And this is why I like independent comics, because one, it's small. So like it's not like they had a reason to, go back and change anything.
Mm-hmm.
So like if something happens to a character, it fucking happens to them. I feel like Marvel and DC, where it ruins, for me anyways, the fun is they kill the characters so much now, and they got so many different variants from different worlds that they follow, that like I never feel like any the characters are ever in any danger. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, they're not.
literally kill Peter Parker again, and we know they're going to bring him back, even if it's a other dimensional one, or if they do a time erase thing with Doctor Strange or something.
Yeah,
There's no immediate danger to these characters anymore, because they're like, we're not going to try anything new. We don't want new characters. We got to run Spider-Man for another 80 years, or Superman or Batman or whoever.
they're too busy tokenizing all the characters.
Yes, with manga, usually once they're done with that franchise, or just done with it, and then if the character died, they're dead for the most part.
Yeah.
We don't see that. We haven't got to the range of reboots. Now, maybe in the future, it might be different with Japan. They might fall into that realm of things, but at least for now, it still feels like the 80s and 90s over there with their storytelling. They're like, this is our story. This person's dead. They are dead. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think. There's one anime I watched. It's like 20 episodes, and that was all they made of it. Kami ga Kill. You ever watch Kami ga Kill? I know.
No.
It's 20. It's like 20 to 24 episodes. Like, everybody in that fucking anime dies. Everybody except for maybe one person. And I just love that story arc. It's 24 episodes, tells a whole story, and it's probably one of my favorite animes for that reason. There's no takebacks. Marvel and DC is so full of takebacks now. It's like, why bother? You're going to spend all year buying these issues. I don't care if they're $3 issues. By the time you get done with it, what did you really buy? You bought a story for that year to get rebooted the next year.
Yep.
I got so mad with Batman. Well, the last time I actually followed Batman was with Damian. Damian was Robin, and they had Dick Grayson was Batman. I'm like, oh shit, we're moving forward. We actually have a story moving forward.
Yeah, the Batman and Robin series was good, because we all still hated Damian.
Yeah, but at least
But
he's
he-
moving forward.
But he started being funny at the same time. So there'd be
I-
like
I
a
just
lot
like
of quippiness, and it's like everybody knew that Nightwing was now Batman because
Yeah.
Batman never smiled.
Yeah.
Nightwing can't stop smiling.
Yeah. But again,
He's like All Might.
but like I say,
Justice with a smile on your face.
DC and Marvel can't move forward. They're like, all
No.
right, we'll give this a run. And it almost becomes like what ifs every freaking year. What if,
It is.
okay, here's a cool what if.
It's because they can't.
Like,
They
man,
have to keep the licensing on the properties so that they can try to make either TV, movies, or
Yeah.
animation projects. And if they slip the license on any of them, somebody else will jump on it and probably do a good job.
Yeah.
So
No, that's it. That's just the problem with those companies now. Like, let's say like Disney drops it, right? Somebody comes along and they just sell it to them just for the sake of the argument. Because everybody's always like, oh, we need this telling in Batman. This dark, it needs to be darker. I'm like, we've had the darkest shit you could possibly have in Batman. It's there. It's been there.
yep.
It's just the characters are so overused at this point. Like I say, nothing moves forward. We've literally had this happen in the 90s when not Dick Grayson, but Jason Todd.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got his spinal cord broken. He was dead. Even he didn't stay dead. They still brought him back.
Mhm.
But you can't get darker than the Joker beating a Robin to death with a crowbar. We've had Joker, cut off his own face and wear his own face again with staples and shit.
I hated that. I hated
Yeah.
that version.
But you see what I'm saying? There, like everybody's like, oh, if Disney didn't have it, we'd have these dark stories. I'm like, we've had the dark stories. We've had them all this time. It's just, like I said, I just get burnt out of the stories not going anywhere. Like they just kind of reboot stuff. Like what is they tried the New 52, and then they did another
rebirth after that,
which was supposed to be like a whole like for if you haven't read comics before or if you're trying to get back into them as a starting point. But it's so funny when you read it. I'm like, well, if you didn't know this stuff in the past, it still wouldn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, that was a flop.
Yeah.
But that's when I actually stopped like really reading there for the longest time. At least sinking money into it. I used to have, I was like one of those guys. I had my folder. I'd go, out of town, go up to a comic book shop in Yellow Springs, get my folder. But after a while, like I say, you get to the point like,
Yeah, I mean, I was dropping on the low side like $100 a week. I had FOMO bad.
Now, in the indie industry, I have my collection of some books I'm not the biggest fan of. Like maybe I didn't really care for the story, or maybe the editing job wasn't great, or maybe I didn't like the art. But at the same time, at least I don't know what the hell is going to happen.
Yeah.
One thing I do like about the indies, at least I'm being introduced to characters that I can possibly become a fan of, or just at least something new, some new ideas I could. And that also helps writers. We all take, bits and pieces of different things that we grew up with that kind of, formulate into our own projects, or like, okay, I was influenced by this, not ripping people off, but, you can be heavily influenced on something,
And the reason we're all like indie comics fans now is because we were fans of, mainstream comics back when they were still good.
Yeah.
And then they turned around and they hired all these soft people, shall we say, that came in and ruined it, and
when you self-project yourself into the storytelling, it shows, and you can't just do that with like characters that's been around since the 60s.
Yeah.
You can't just be like,
the 30s too.
Yeah.
Batman and Superman since the 30s.
Yeah. Oh man, like they totally ruined Superman's son. Totally just butchered that.
Super gay.
Yeah, I'm like, that just came out of nowhere. I'm like, why?
It's because they were taking a knee and swallowing a glizzy to cater to the alphabet jihad army.
Yeah.
Where they turned around and they just started turning everybody gay.
Well, and the problem with that
they made John Kent gay. When they did the Earth 2 saga, they made the original Green Lantern gay, which wiped out 2 long mainstay characters, 2 of which were drawn by Todd McFarlane in his early career at Infinity Incorporated in DC, which were like the kids of the JSA.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, the weird thing is too, it's like it's bad business because you got to look at it from a business point of view as well. Like, especially, and now I know they get to play with it because it's they got the money right now, right? They're like, we can take losses. We can take losses. They don't care. They're just about an agenda at this point.
Yeah, it is.
But back in the day, the reason we got good stories and stuff because they one, you got to go to a point where your audience is, because it's business as well. Like, you got to go where the demand is. Like, if your agenda isn't giving you money, then you're not even understanding your own business. You're going to you're sinking your own.
And then they stopped doing that. But it was not as visible, like even in the 90s. But you could tell because we would go from selling like 500 copies of Uncanny and Avengers a month to we can't even move 100 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, what happened? He goes, well, people grow up, they stop reading because their wives tell them to. And because they can't read comics and complete their honeydew list at the same time. And, and then, life happens and you end up, a lot of people end up, with kids and, family takes up all your time. You don't really have any free time and you just drop it, but you've got like, I don't know, like 250 boxes of comics. So you're like, well, I don't want to completely drop it, but I can always reread this. And then you get to talking to a friend of yours and you start up the first part of your podcast. And because everybody used to make fun of you and call you a boomer, even though you're a Gen Xer, you create a podcast called Okay Boomer, the podcast, where we just read old comics and talk about them once a week on the show. Golden through Copper Age. Yep, that's what I'm doing Saturday.
Nice.
But we've done like lots of indie stuff because indie used to be the place where the names that became huge in like the 80s and 90s, that's where all these guys came from. They all came from like the indie circuit, like Mike Grell, John Sable Freelance.
It would have been really nice to see
Matt Wagner with Grendel.
It would have been nice to see where Top Cow would have went if Turner didn't die.
Yeah.
I think that was kind of like him dying was almost just the death of like that big fight against like Marvel and DC.
It was
when
the end of that. It was the end of that big dream because
dude, they dropped the ball when he passed too. Like, they turned into Aspen, right?
Yeah.
And like I pissed off one of like the colorist or something because I had when I had my store, I got into like a Facebook thing with him about like I think it was Lady Mechanica. They had Lady Mechanica and like something else, and like dude, they just would not bring out books. I'm like, you guys keep reprinting issue 1 and 2 like every year. I'm like, are you guys just not? I don't know. I just feel like they dropped the ball with like Mike Turner set them up good to where they could at least continue on. Now I don't know if like maybe with Mike Turner passing they couldn't use some of the characters. I don't know. But I mean, obviously they still have rights to some of it. But like I said, I think Lady Mechanica and other stuff they had going on could have really, helped them be like at least the next Image. But then they just stopped dropping or stopped releasing stuff. I'm like, I told the callers, I'm like, there's a reason why like your comics are sitting on the bottom of my shelf and not, in the front, because you guys keep releasing the same 2 issues. Because I would ask Mike, hey, are we gonna get issue 3? We're getting issue 3. And after like 2-3 years, I'm just like, whatever. I guess you guys are gonna let Mike Turner's, dream die with him.
Yeah. They became Aspen, and then Aspen, I think, had a split, and like a couple of creators from there left Aspen to create another mini publisher called Blue Water that never went anywhere. But they both kind of use almost the exact same logo for their publishing house.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jim went back to DC.
Yeah.
And sold his imprint to DC that hasn't done, they've only done something with it when it was like, we have to use these characters in something or we're gonna lose the license. So let's put out like a 6-issue miniseries, have Jim at least write it because it was his characters, and have to do the variant covers. It'll be done like, in a week with the whole series, and, put it out like they put out like a Grifter solo thing when they did like the New 52. But they had like other people from that universe like show up in it and everything.
Yeah.
But it didn't have anything they put out since doesn't have a soul to it. It's just we're just doing this so nobody else can use our characters.
Yeah.
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 Kind of like
I think the most recent thing I tried to read that was like current was Marvel, one of the Spider-Man comics. It literally went like 4 issues and then they canceled it. I was like, oh, that didn't do well.
And then they turn around, the new big thing in comics, Spider-Boy. You really just took an amalgam character from the Marvel DC team-up mashup characters, threw them in an ASM issue, and now that book's going for big money. People are like, I'm like, you're out of your mind. It's an amalgam character. I have his first appearance. Well, not anymore because it was rebooted. So now this is the first appearance. I don't give a shit. It's trash.
Yeah. Again, I say the reboot of stuff is just, it's just
It
so
kills it.
overdone. Yeah. There's, like I say, it ruins Marvel and DC because, like I say, no character is ever in real danger.
Nope.
They can literally be blown up in a building, and there's going to be somebody that comes by
and they do the reboots on purpose because they know all the money they're losing, they will at least get a portion of that back when they release a brand new number 1.
Yeah.
And then, like Moon Knight, where they put like 73 variant covers on the first issue of Moon Knight like a couple of years ago. That wasn't including stores that paid them like 10 or 15 grand to have their own store exclusive.
Now, I just recently started going through like the original Moon Knight, and I like it, the original stuff. I haven't read like current Moon Knight.
Yeah, I used to buy like the black and white newspaper volumes of it. Like DC did Showcase, was the same thing. 500 pages black and white on newsprint, so you could read the story. You could see the original line work and inks.
That's cool.
And they came out. They were like $20, like $19.99 when they came out. But you wait a week, you realize nobody's buying the. None of the kids want it because they're not in color, and they're sitting on the shelf. And then you end up start getting them for like anywhere from like $10 to $15 a piece. And I've got like the first 2 volumes of the original Moon Knight. So yes, I have a black and white version of the first appearance of Werewolf by Night.
That's pretty cool. Was that like the 3rd issue?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I've got like the entire first run of Brave and the Bold. I've got like the first 3 volumes of that all in black and white.
That's cool.
Yes, I'm still buying the color versions because I must have them all. I've got like Superman ones like that, and they released a full color one because it was like a 3-year story arc across like all the Superman books from like the early 2000s, which was like a war world kind of like story, before Michael Bendis went to DC and destroyed the entire Superman universe.
Now that's getting again. I didn't watch the Flash movie, but did it set up for like a new Superman, right? Or no?
There were parts of that movie that were like, okay, this isn't as bad as I thought. Oh, never mind, it is. It was just, I was a little put off for the fact that one of the first scenes you see him change into Flash, this actor who was grooming girls and basically being a pedo, stops and asks a young 13-year-old, 14-year-old girl for her candy bar.
That's weird.
Little creepy dude. The Michael Keaton stuff was great. I even thought I wasn't like happy with the new version of Supergirl. I'm like, dude, Supergirl has blonde hair. Supergirl's had blonde hair for 75 years. Stop it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But she played a good Supergirl.
Did she? Okay.
Like she was good. She was good in the role. And there was a bunch of stuff out there, and it was kind of like open ended. So if they want to, they can launch other stuff off that. There's no way they're having him back in that or any other role. But they're gonna do kind of like a Superman Year One. So Henry's like too old for that. But Henry also had to deal with Amazon already set up to be in charge of the entire Warhammer series. For Amazon. And
it's so weird because like Henry Cavill's like a moneymaker, and these companies just like keep like tossing him back off to the side. I'm like, that's your moneymaker. Like, that guy draws him. He drew money in for Superman, The Witcher. He's not even cast for the next one. That's why this season didn't do good. I didn't even watch it because why? Like they already said, like they're recasting him.
Yeah, it went complete trash.
Yeah, and like he's the only one that's trying to keep it on course to like the storyline.
They're like, and they didn't use that because the Witcher's daughter was like a minor thing, and you never even really see her in the game. It was just kind of like you don't see it till like the end of the game, and there's there's just like a small conversation about her like early on, and then they turned her into the main character of the entire second series.
Now he's just like, oh, I guess we're just gonna make Warhammer a lot of money.
Because he's a diehard Warhammer player in real life.
Yep.
But when you get paid millions of dollars to play Superman, you can afford to buy all those overpriced Warhammer minis.
Yeah, I think
there aren't that many.
Cool. Warhammer looks cool, but I can never get into it. I'm like, it's too pay to play.
Too mathy.
Yeah.
You gotta do a lot of math. And I'm like, it's a game. I want to enjoy myself.
Yeah, I don't want my spreadsheet in front of me.
I go, I'm a nerd, not a geek.
Yeah. I was kind of that way with D&D. Look, they had a good DM. I'm just like, all right, Rick, what do I need to change my stats to? I don't feel like doing the math. Just let me know.
Yeah.
I leveled up. Okay. How many points do I get?
I would just fake level up because I'm like, I would add up, I wouldn't add them up. The DM would add them up and be like, every time, every weekend day that we played online. So it was cool because there was like an automatic dice roller. So you would just select what dice you had to roll, and he would tell you what dice you had to roll. So, luckily in my case, it was retard proof, so I get to play. But we had a good time as a bunch of friends that were in a guild that used to play Neverwinter from Cryptic.
Oh, okay.
On the PC. I still have it on this one. Once a year I'll like download a patch that'll take my computer like 3 days to download and apply. But
So do you play a lot of games then?
I used to. A friend of mine who sadly passed away a number of years ago got me hooked on MMOs.
Like
But
World of Warcraft, like yeah.
No,
EverQuest.
no, not EverQuest. We did do WoW,
Mm-hmm.
but there is a progression to that. He first got me hooked on the City of Heroes.
Oh, the superhero one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I played that a little bit. I think that's still actually a thing, to be honest.
It's on like a secret server, and you gotta know what you're doing to get on there and play, and it doesn't. There's no way of saving anything. And then they came out with City of Villains, which was even cooler because the villains, as you know, get henchmen.
Oh,
so you pick whatever build you want, and you get henchmen. And I'm like, that's awesome. So you could just, with the right build, you could just order your henchmen to go take out like complete mobs, and you're just sitting back here with a grenade launcher. You lob one off like, every 5 minutes or something. Then we were, in the beginning, we were huge South Park fans. And as soon as they aired that episode of WoW on South Park.
Yeah, I remember that one.
That night, hopped in his truck, ran up the street to Best Buy, and we both bought like, the base game, and we played that for like years. But I'm like, I couldn't figure out where all my time was going.
To the MMOs.
I'm like, yeah. I'd get home. I was a strip club DJ for like 30 years before I got sick and ended up in the chair. And so I would go home from work, it'd be like 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm still wound up, make myself a cocktail, sit down, and start playing. On. Next thing I know, I noticed that the sun has risen, and my landlord and friend who lived upstairs from me, he was a school teacher, and in the wintertime he got the electronic start on his truck, so he would start his truck, and I'm like, oh crap, what time is it? 8:30. What the? Because for a second, when you play MMOs like that, for a second before you realize what time and what day it is, you get like all proud of yourself that you've been kicking ass because you've like leveled up like 9 times. And then you realize you've been playing for 14 hours.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't get to like MMOs like too crazy. I did play EverQuest when it was big. A little bit of WoW. I'll try WoW once in a while, but I don't know. I just can't stick with it anymore. Again, like you say, I being older, it's hard to get. It's not really hard because I do have the time, but almost like maybe I don't have the patience for it. Like I realized I'm like, all right, I'm off today from work. Do I really want to sit around for like 6 hours to play this, or
It's like, it's one thing if you're like, okay, just paid all my bills. I have only enough money left to put gas in my car to go back and forth to work for the week.
Yeah.
MMO time. I was a beta tester on when Activision owned it for the Star Trek MMO, and I played it for like,
oh yeah, I forgot that Star Trek MMO.
4 or 5 years. I mean, it's still going on, but they don't have like nearly half the people that used to play it.
Yeah, it's already kind of dying.
Yeah.
I know there's going to be a new Star Wars MMO in the works. And that's supposed to be a thing.
Yeah, but, if Lucasfilm and Kennedy are in charge of it, it's bound to look more like Tecmo Bowl than it is to look like a Star Wars game. Well, we've been rambling for 2 hours. I can tell you're starting to get tired of me already. So,
oh, I am? No, I'm good. But yeah, if you want to wrap it up, we can.
Because we went from talking about Swarm to...
Well, you can only say so much about a comic. I mean, you got to run a show.
Yeah, you don't want to, you get to talk about other stuff too.
Yeah.
But, don't forget to back Swarm today.
I think we're at 53%.
Let's see. Let's refresh and go up top. Boom. I said up top. What are you jumping around for? Damn books.
Yeah, I say we're at 53%. Still got 40 days, so we're still pretty good on that. I'd like to see at least, it'd be nice if I get to the 2K mark before I reach my final 30 days.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see.
It'd be good, it'd be good to get to. I mean, it's a 50-page book. It's got awesome covers. There's probably a few people that couldn't decide on a particular cover, so they jumped on the featured tier. And
so they had a lot of great people work on it. Another thing, not saying you have to back my book, but the good thing about backing indie books, especially if I don't know how far into the realm of Comicsgate you are, but the important thing about the community is when you back these books, you're also providing the jobs for those artists and to continue hiring them.
Mm-hmm.
That's another thing that people have to realize, like making sure that these artists and the colorist, the letterist, all these guys, to keep them motivated, to keep them going. That way they keep getting jobs. These projects have to move. They have to go forward, or they don't have work.
Yeah.
That's the thing that people need to realize too. Even if they don't check out Swarm, there's plenty of other Comicsgate campaigns going.
Death.
Yeah, death. Yeah, I think we're at. I can't think last time I looked at it. 84K. I think is where we're sitting on our death. I say Ace. I think he has a new campaign coming out where I think it's the second chance of White Leopard. He's gonna have that on Fund My Comics.
Yeah, that was just on Fund My Comic. I think he's doing a second chance on
Bloodbone.
Bloodbone, yeah.
Yes. Thank you. And then you got Phil Diaz and Brandon Diaz doing Lost Pages 3 right now. So make sure to check that out. Like I said, I'm just saying, like make sure you make your rounds, check out these campaigns, back whichever ones you like or look interesting, because like I say, you keep the circulation going for the artist, the colorist, all of them guys, because they, in order for them to stick around to get all this awesome stuff, they have to have projects to work on.
Yeah.
If things don't get funded, and the bad thing is, like, I've been in Comicsgate for I think 3 years, and I hate seeing like certain like people have just like vanished. New faces come in, but there's some projects I'm like, damn man, like I wish these people would have stuck around, and I would like to see more from them. Maybe their campaigns just didn't do as well. I mean, some people do have like what's that word I'm looking for? Rock star, almost like feel like they're going to be a rock star on their first campaign or campaign two, and that's not the case. You got to build an audience. Don't be discouraged. Like another thing too is like fundraising is one side of things too. So if your books didn't do as well through Indiegogo, you got Fund My Comics now. They're picking up steam. I never really tried Kickstarter. I never really liked how if you back a book but they don't take the money right away.
Yeah.
They only take the money afterwards. I'm like, I like to. I don't want like just one day be like, oh, where'd $30 go? Where? Oh, Kickstarter. I like to know that it came out that day. That's just me. I'm not quite sure how Fund My Comics does it. I haven't backed anything on them quite yet.
Well, when you talk to Luke, there's like a few different ways you can do it. You can just leave it as almost like a permanent campaign until you want to close it.
Yeah, I have seen people have like ungodly amount of days.
Yeah.
On there, like 180 days to go. I'm like, oh, okay, that's on there for a while.
There's ways to set it up that like about halfway through the campaign, you can like pull a partial payment, which will let you distribute wealth to your talent to keep them motivated to work.
Yeah. Like I say, like with Swarm, like let's just say for the sake of saying, like, if I don't get funded, you know, we actually, me and Joe and Craig, we started a King Toad store. Like we have our own page. So you know what? If I can't get funded, I mean, it kind of sucks because like like the traffic for these shows and stuff like Indiegogo, there's always kind of that like people's like, oh, I gotta back it that way, So it'd be slower traffic, but I worked hard enough to get Swarm where it is that I'm not going to not have it available somewhere.
Yeah.
But I'd like it to succeed on Indiegogo. But if it doesn't, like I say, I'll make sure that it will be available one way or another.
In Indiegogo, the
I already got a shadow ban. I was only for a
did
week.
you? I was gonna ask you because
I was like, how did I get shot? I mean, I'm those people like I never really post negative stuff. Like if you go to my Twitter, I'm openly Comicsgate, but I don't.
That's all it took.
Yeah, I know. Apparently, but I mean, I see big guys of Comicsgate, and like I guess maybe if you make a certain range, like they just don't mess with.
Well, when you're in raising millions, they're like.
Yeah, they're like, I'll leave that guy alone.
I guess you can stay.
Yeah, but yeah, like I thought I was like, man, you guys could at least wait until I got funded and then shadow ban me. But they were like, week one. I was like, really, week one?
Yeah, we started the hashtag shadow banned or just unpopular.
God, it sucked. But again, though, like I think with in the realm of like CG, a lot of our funding comes from like doing shows like this and word of mouth more than like people just randomly finding it on Indiegogo. You know what I'm saying? A lot. So I'm not one of those people that's like overly like hateful that I got shadow banned. What I hate about it is Indiegogo is a company that takes a percentage of your sales. I'm like, so if you're taking a percentage of my sales, but you're also not letting people find it on their search engine, what the hell am I paying you for? And I have my own site. Now, if CG was like, hey, yeah, we'd buy your stuff off of your own sites, but that really just hasn't been a thing yet with CG. Like people still are very in their comfort zone of what's being funded right now.
Yeah, kind of like everybody wants to do everything on YouTube, and they won't watch your show anywhere but YouTube. And I'm like, well, guess you won't be watching my show much longer because I won't be on YouTube much longer.
Exactly, and I guess I try to follow the formula. I listen to the big guys. I don't go my way. I'm not one of those guys that tries to start shit in CG. There's enough stuff that goes on behind the scenes that I don't want to be part of anyways.
Yeah.
You know it. We all know it. The fans know it. And I try to listen to these guys, but sometimes I'm like, somebody's got to tell me a different path when it comes to certain things. Like, Malin's a big guy when it comes to, he doesn't like Kickstarter, which like I say, I don't know much about Kickstarter myself, so I kind of stay away from it. He's like, do Indiegogo. Indiegogo's the way to go. All right. I listen to these guys, they've been in the biz, but when I'm getting shadow banned, I'm like, well, how long can I hold out in Indiegogo? If that company is telling me they don't want me,
I think they basically want like all the big money tickets, like all the tech stuff.
Yes.
They want all the tech stuff on there, and they're basically they're trying to get rid of the comics on their site.
Which is so stupid. To me, it's like money is money. Like, who cares? Like, as long as it's nothing like extreme.
And
but I'm like,
Kickstarter does the same thing too, where every time they hire somebody, it's like, one of the people that would like scream to the heavens on their hands and knees and cry because Trump got elected like 6 years ago. And they'll hire them, and the first thing they'll do is they'll go through all the campaigns and they'll stop blockchaining everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't even have to have any interaction with, say, EBS, but he's on your friends list or people you follow. You're gone. You're done.
It's
and I'm
crazy.
like,
it's crazy.
The big thing on Kickstarter is that's where all the spicy covers are.
Yeah.
I know
my buddy Dave has a campaign. Rogue. Sorry, it took me a second.
Oh yeah.
You know Dave, I think, right?
I do.
He's on the show, right?
we had schedule conflicts, so he wasn't, but I had his artist on, but then a bat with a wingspan about yay big got into my loft, and with my health issues, I couldn't stick around. I go, dude, there's a big fucking bat in here. I got to get out of here. I hate to do this to you. I'll have you back on another time. We were only talking for like 20 minutes, and I got chased literally out of the bat cave.
Yeah, I know he has like some spicy covers on his Kickstarter.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
he's running a Kickstarter, Indiegogo, Fund My Comics. So if anybody's interested, check out
Rogue.
But
The American Dream.
I really debated when I first started working on the Indiegogo to actually have available in Indiegogo and Fund My Comics. But I was like, I don't know if I want to try to run 2 pages, like, then like when I do like shows like this, I'd have to have them like, oh, it's also on this, and then they check out the tiers on that. And I don't know how that translates. I'm one of those people like maybe I have an expansion, like a attention expand of like a goldfish. Like, so if I'm watching the show and like if somebody gets too into like the tiers and then they go to another place of tiers, I'm kind of like, it might just be me. I'm just kind of like, and next show, I'm not going to be mean. It's just my attention span's like, okay, I'm going to fall asleep if I have to like,
Well, he went that way so he could have like 3 exclusives, 1 to each platform.
Yes.
Kickstarter for the spicy ones, Fund My Comic for like the regular ones, and Indiegogo for the regular ones. And there's his cosplay covers.
Yeah. But I think I think for like once I get through Indiegogo, and it succeeds or doesn't succeed, who knows? I might do the Fund My Comics as well. I might just do like a variant cover or something for over there. Because I do want to give them a shot too. I just didn't know how well I would do, like with trying to manage 2 campaigns, also while working in regular life. Just all that. I didn't want to overload myself. Especially with this being my first like big project for myself, I guess, because I did Mothman, but it was a 20-page floppy. Kind of really just breaking into just how this all works.
Mm-hmm. Getting your feet wet.
Yeah. But this was my bigger project. Like I say, a 50-page book, and having it completely done. And which just with everything that was going on with it, I'm like, I just had to keep all my focus. Where I didn't want my brain to explode.
Yeah.
So like, if I, I didn't want to have to try like.
Yeah, we don't want to find you floating at the top of the goldfish bowl.
Yes.
Like,
this little
that was funny, but what a dick!
So much.
It just, no, I can't do that. I do know one of the bigger selling points behind Fund My Comic is the fact that there's nothing on that site but comics and games.
Yeah.
And,
so at least you're finding your audience a lot.
And they take the least amount of a percentage out of the creators.
Yes.
It's a very low amount. It's basically just to keep the maintenance and new features coming on the platform. And I mean, it's been doing well for like a lot of people, and more people are discovering it now. And it's only been 5 months.
Yeah.
And I mean, Luke was talking to a guy from the Long Box podcast this afternoon, and he had backed a couple of projects from there and gotten his books, and was like thrilled with stuff he gets. So it's all relative, but you can do stuff there you can't do on other platforms. Like customers can tip the website for like, say Swarm was on there now. We can go to the Swarm campaign page. We can tip the website, and the more dollars you tip the website, well, on a certain campaign page, that will move that campaign further up the list. It's a combination of that and, how many people are going to that campaign page, and how many people are purchasing off that campaign will eventually like rise it up to the top.
Yeah. Well, another thing is, Luke does a pretty good job of promoting himself as well.
Oh yeah.
Like he'll promote like campaigns. He'll find campaigns that's like all right, they're struggling. He'll have a show about it. And he'll also, he'll highlight the ones that are doing really great. Like I'll catch a show here and there. But yeah, which is that's pretty cool. Like, him taking the time to promote
Yeah.
because he's a starting off business, so he wants it to succeed. So he has to have these campaigns show progress, for his own, thing to work. So I like
every week he does a stream, things that are new or that they're addressing on the site. Does it every week, does an FMC update every week. And even when he's doing a couple of his own streams, like Nerd Bacon on Thursday morning. Tomorrow morning, by the way.
I think that's when I see a lot, because I say I work thirds, so I'll catch like some of his morning stuff.
Like after they take care of like the news and the banter back and forth with all the co-hosts, if he sees something that is a good project but needs a little push, he'll highlight that. And I did that like about a month or so ago. I had a guest that life happened and they couldn't make the episode, so I rewrote the episode as basically a highlight reel for the show, and I put on I went through like 5 or 6 campaigns. A couple of them were like second chance campaigns, let people know that there was a second chance campaign on the last Miri Boys project from Chubb.
Oh yeah.
And stuff like that. So I just highlighted 5 things, and some of the people I've had on and talked to, and just okay, we'll take a look at this one, take a look at that one, and spread it out there. And every couple of weeks I'll just go to the site and start sharing out a couple of new campaigns. Well, I mean, a lot of them did great. Apparently from all the leftist hate, Mike Barron is now a diehard FMC fan, because hit pieces won't get him kicked off of our platform. Or
I know
I don't have anything to do with that.
What do they call it? I keep on. What's the mermaid one?
Oh, Merkmaid.
I know it. I like the little what is it, Stabastion or something like that.
Stabastion, yeah.
I know it's done really, really good on my comics. I think that's like their first big one, right?
Yeah, it did phenomenal. He wasn't able to come on, but I had Piper and Eric on.
I need to actually go on. That's one person I haven't been on a show with is Piper. I don't know if she still does a show or not.
Yeah, she still does stuff.
I know she does. She actually have like that, kind of like where she just kind of hung out.
Yeah.
I didn't know if she did guests and stuff. I don't know. I haven't watched some of her stuff in a while.
I'm not sure.
That's one person I haven't really.
She guests on. I had her on about a year and a half ago, just talking about random stuff. Kind of how we ended up on random stuff here.
Hey, those are the best kind of shows, though.
Yeah,
you never know what's going to come up.
And he had I think we had 30 people in the chat that day. The only show that I've had go major watch hours is I interviewed the original actor that portrayed Captain Marvel. Yeah, the guy with the cape. You might know him as Shazam. From the Saturday morning live action show. I interviewed him. I've had over 4,000 watch hours. That was 3 years ago. I still get comments on that feed. And we'll just end up having a 2-hour conversation in response time to people at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm but we'll wrap this up I will be downloading this. This will be uploaded to my Rumble channel. Please follow my Rumble channel so I can get off of YouTube and just stream live there. Also, it'll be up on my Odyssey channel. It'll be going up on my actual just listening to stuff channel, which is my podcast. And a link from one of those other 2 third-party channels will be going up on my Minds account that I always forget I have. And then I like, oh, I'll get a notification. Somebody just watched this show. Somebody just watched. Oh, really? Cool. It got upvoted. Oh, nice. Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, I want to thank you for coming on and talking to me. Everybody, go check out Swarm. The link is in the it's in the chat, and it's also in the description down below. If you have trouble accessing it, just hit me up, and I will give you the link that I used to actually get to the Swarm page for the show today. Or you can just contact Shane directly.
Yeah, I have it right. My Twitter, like if you go on my Twitter, it's right there on the.
And Shane's Twitter is listed in the description, either down below or up above, depending on where you're watching us.
Yep.
So this has been fun because we talked about just about everything under the stars.
Yeah, I think we did.
Star Trek, Star Wars.
Anything with stars.
Yeah, we brought up manga and were told we were gay. Sorry, Edwin.
Yeah.
He's gonna go report to Mo Biggs. We're all going to be in hot water. Oh, it's not even bath day. What the hell? So you got 40 days left on this?
Yeah. So I'm running the whole 60-day shebang. See where it goes from there. Where am I going to be tomorrow? Narwhal. I'm going to be on Narwhal show tomorrow.
Oh, cool. Nice.
Yeah, I think it's 7. I think Joe's going to be on there. Me and Joe will be on Narwhal tomorrow. And then Friday is Diaz Brothers. Can't think what their show is called. Not Hardline, because Hardline's Mondays, but they have a show on Fridays as well.
Yeah.
So I'll be on there. I don't know if Joe's gonna be on that one, but I'll be on that. I think that might be a 7 or 8 o'clock one as well. And then
I'll let
then
my
Monday I'll be on I can't remember. I can't remember. I got too many shows now.
Monday I'll be someplace else.
Yeah, Monday. So just keep an eye on my Twitter, and you'll see
where you're going to be.
See where I'll be.
Have you talked to Jesse over at the Common Nerd?
Is he the guy? Does he usually have like sunglasses on? He's like a goatee.
Yep.
Me and him DM'd. We're supposed to set something up, so I'm just waiting for that to come.
I'll hit him up. He was up. They were doing a stream earlier, and I was cracking on him because he wasn't there. His wife was sitting in his place. I'm like, wow, Jesse got better looking. Oh wait, maybe he just took off his bowler and sunglasses. And everyone's like, yeah, that's it. He took off his sunglasses.
Global Frequency. That's where I'll be Monday. I had to look it up.
Oh, okay. You be with Neff and Freak Girl on Monday.
Yeah. Joe should be on that one as well.
Cool.
We just got to get him to come on here with you and me.
Yeah. I'm sure if I had gotten to him in time, been like, hey, Shane's coming on to talk Swarm. You want to bounce in?
He's better at the nerd talk than I am, I think.
The banter.
Yeah, he's more familiar with the artist and stuff like that than I am.
Well, because
rightfully
he is.
So.
Because he is.
Artist. Yeah. He remembers all the artists.
He remembers everything. Yep.
Yep.
No, I'll be right back. I need another pack of smokes. Okay,
Yeah.
Okay, Joe. I am looking forward to Death, because that book looks awesome.
Yeah, that's a good thing about let's say we're in the same company, and he also only lives a minute away, so I get to drive down there and just kind of look at pages as he's drawing them and stuff.
Nice. Yeah, I think I ordered the dare I say manga version.
Oh yeah, okay.
Because my daughter's into manga, so I figured I'd read it first, and when I got finished reading it, that she would probably, check it out or something in there like struck her eye. She'd probably like, want to borrow the book and read it.
I know I need to take a picture of my hair right now because I know I'm going to lose it once I have to start fulfilling death with him. It's going to be.
You gotta look like this.
Because we got so many different versions of, like, you got the black and white, you got a color version, you got a manga version. You also got people that back, all 3 tiers of that or whatever, So me and him, because I'll be, obviously I won't be with him, packing all that and mailing it out and all that stuff. So
actually, no, I bought the hardcover.
Oh yeah, okay, the hardcover. Yep.
I'm like, because I had put the manga in the checkout, and then I kept scrolling. I was like, "There's a hardcover." Oh.
That's another thing. I guess if you're like, you look at Swarm, you're like, you know what? Maybe I'm just not into like the superhero thing. Like I say, as King Toad, we're trying to build our company up. If you don't like the superhero thing, we have Death still funding, so you can always check that out. We need to work on. That's probably one thing. We have a King Toad site. We probably should here soon get some not King Toad, but Death side merch. We might have to wait a little bit just to let him finish that up first, get the books out there, and then kind of. But it wouldn't hurt to maybe get some shirts made up.
Yeah,
something like that. Because right now we do have like a Mothman shirts, we have King Toad shirt, we got some cups, some small merch. Like I say, we got the Ace Volume 2 on there, trying to help Ace out to get his extra copies he has, moved. So we're also working on that as well, because eventually we would like to just go away from Indiegogo and stuff like that, and just be able to just sell it direct on our site. But that's the only reason I didn't throw Swarm on there quite yet. I wanted to wait once we get Death in people's hands, and people were like, "Oh shit!" King Toad, Shane, and John are really serious about this, and then maybe it'll start driving people to the actual site, and then if that works, then I won't even do so much the crowdfunding as much. I'll just get my book done and just have it on there where people can just buy it that day.
Oh,
but, I got to make sure the market's there for that. And, I know, like I say, with CG, they really like to stay focused on like who's funding on Indiegogo right now. So I wasn't ready to quite take that risk until, the fans get the death and get really excited about what we're doing at King Toad. And you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. You're like, yep, we know.
We're getting there. We're trying to move it to like where we don't have to rely on like a third party.
Yeah, it's the biggest thing, like in CG and the indie scene itself, is they fulfill.
Yeah. Bancroft, I think his newest book, he might still have it on Indiegogo. I'm not too sure, but I know he also had it on his site to fund. I don't know if he has it on both.
I don't know if he has it on IGG, but I know he has it on his site because that's where I looked at it.
Okay, yeah. So like, he's a perfect example of he built his audience and is able to direct traffic to his site versus the Indiegogo. So he's able to kind of eliminate
the middleman,
which is awesome. And I think that's what everybody's driving for to get to that goal.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
that's basically the end game, because 3 years ago I was asking people, so when these crowdfunding platforms go belly up or kick you off because they don't like,
you got to have an exit route. You can't put all your chips in one basket.
And
you gotta
there's a ton of people that are they're running everything off of their own website, or you can go to their website after fulfillment of their campaign is done, no matter where they run it, and purchase it, after the fact. And, and obviously, guys like Billy Tucci and Graham Nolan have their own websites that you can go to, but they've also got another thing that they're working on with Chuck and a few other of the big bigger names that they got it set up almost like a virtual spinner rack where you can get news and information about new projects coming up. And
Oh, that's cool.
and then Jimmy Palmiotti was talking about possibly making a brand new like wizard style magazine.
Yeah, I know. Remember, they what was that one that they did?
Oh, Rocket.
There was Rocket. I thought there was a second one, but hopefully that works. I think the bad thing about that, as long as you can get it in a timely manner, where like those projects don't come and go. I think that's the hard thing about doing the magazines. But those guys, I think they had the capability of getting it out fast, you know, because it's just, you know, previews and stuff like that. Because I think JB was on one of those as well. There's another magazine. Dang, I wish I could remember what it was, but
I know Sim put out the
yeah,
basically like a previews catalog for CG up on, you know, it was like a 99-cent download from Amazon.
Yeah.
And it was highlighting current ones and ones that were on the way, so people could go through and look at, like, you know, hundreds if not thousands of upcoming campaigns.
Yeah. Yep.
Which is awesome. So we're gonna wrap it here. Make sure to follow Shane over on the Twitters.
On the old Twitters.
The X Twitters.
And if you're really old, you can find me on the Book of Faces as well.
Mm-hmm. The Book of Faces. I'm like a convicted criminal over there. I've had up to 90 days in Facebook jail.
I believe he considers himself, he's a CG guy. Wish I could remember his name. He's been working on a comic. Greg. Damn, I wish I could remember. I can't even think of his project. But I swear he's like banned, like all the time on Twitter, Facebook. So like he'll just randomly he'll pop up in like
Justin Gray.
I can't. He's working on like a book where like it's like a devil kid. Dang.
Oh, Belial.
I can't remember, but he's banned all the time. I'm like, well, sooner or later he might get around to be able to promote a book. He just keeps getting himself banned.
Oh yeah, I'm like, they're memes. Well, I didn't appreciate that. Yeah, who cares what you appreciate? You're banned again. Okay.
Yeah.
One less place for me to waste my time like I'm on an MMO.
Yeah.
So, well, Shane, thanks so much for coming on and hanging out and talking to us about everything, especially Swarm.
Yep, no problem. Thanks for having me.
It's been fun. And now I'm going to go eat dinner and download this episode so I can upload it to like all these other places.
Sounds like a plan.
Everybody have a good night. Go check out Swarm. And Thomas and I will see you Saturday night for a new episode of OK Boomer.